the advantage of looking at things in terms of similarity is that you move away from the hard, hermeneutic position of self and other. So that what happens is that, especially look at migration and the problem of people who migrate to other countries, you tend to homogenize them into one community, and you want to have a dialogue with that one community, but you remove all possibilities of differentiation. Now, if you look at things in terms of similarity, then you have partial overlaps, partial agreements, partial disagreements. It's a what you might call a very democratic way of dealing with diversity. You do not absolutize the question of diversity, but you don't ignore it. You allow certain amounts of congruences to emerge, and you also allow differences to exist. I would like to say that it's a civilized way of dealing with complexity in our modern world. And our modern world is a world which is in some sense interconnected, but I don't want to be the same as somebody else, but I also don't want to be completely different. And I think this is the kind of a philosophy which is suitable for countries or situations or life histories in which you have a great deal of mobility. And this mobility may be forced mobility, exile for instance, or it may be economic, if you're looking for a job, or it may be also people who are academically moving around and wish to consider the world as a planet. The planetarity, if you look at the world in terms of planetarity and mondialisation, which a term I prefer, globalization is not a very good term, but if you look at it this way, then what you really need is a philosophy for an age in which there is a tremendous amount of discrepancy between in terms of power, in terms of economic resources. We are not living in a happy world, but how do you make a habitable world of mobility? And if you want to do that, then I think that through this lenses of similarity, you get this possibility of not overpowering somebody, but at the same time not excluding somebody. So this small gap between exclusion and assimilation is the area through which similarity works. I don't want to be assimilated, but I don't want to be excluded. So what you might call it is, as I said, it's a kind of democratic and way of looking at the world. It's an utopia. Of course, it doesn't exist, and a great deal of political effort has to be made to make this a possibility. But I think that this is one way in which you overcome some of the problems of the 19th century and partially also the 20th century in terms of not saying that the hermeneutics of difference is the real problem, but that there's something called the right to similarity and partial agreement, partial disagreement. But that, of course, as you know very well, is a very difficult. It's a very difficult situation to realize in political terms, but it's worth it.